Hi, everybody. It's great to have you on this call here. And what we're going to do, my name is Lauren Middag. I'm going to interview the CEO and founder of Smashfund, Rob Towles. And so what we're going to do is go through a few questions that we're getting frequently, and we just want to make sure things are clear in the minds of people that are checking this out. So with that being said, Rob, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me on the call. I really appreciate it. It's fun to be able to jump on and answer questions and explain an exciting model.
All right. Well, listen, here's what I want to do, Rob. I want to ask you a question about Smash Fun and how did it all start? What was the beginning? What was the aha moment for you that got you thinking that this model is something that could just ignite the world?
Mm. Well, it was probably, about a year ago. About a year ago, I was actually came out of a social game investment, had a lot of fun with that, and was literally sitting at my computer, drinking coffee, and I was reading just a few articles. One of them was a Forbes article, and I was always a big fan of crowdfunding, right? I'm definitely one of the suckers that was always on Kickstarter and all those different companies, buying all the latest gadgets, whether it's a sweatshirt that has an iPhone pocket, I was just one of those guys, always trying to be on these different sites and see what entrepreneurs were doing and creating and coming up with, and just a really big fan of the crowdfunding space. And then I read in this article, two different things stuck out to me. One thing that stuck out was how explosive crowdfunding is, like the fastest growing space in technology, and how exciting it was, but still in some instances up to an 89% failure rate. So a lot of people not getting funded, but we know every single person on the planet has something they want to fund. Multiple per household, whether it's a passion or a project or a business they want to start. Everybody has something that they want to fund. And so I thought that was really interesting, this crazy fast-growing space, but a lot of people weren't getting funded. And then the other part of the article said, why are VCs pouring money into crowdfunding? And the answer was they're looking for the first crowdfunding platform to treat it somewhat like a social network. And I thought, oh my gosh, we have that. We have that technology. We have this kind of social algorithm, this viral algorithm that connects people together. And we thought, I think we have the solution to this. We could create a massive social network, and then we could also come alongside the users and help them fund whatever they're passionate about if they help us build our user base. And so we put together this just amazing revenue share model, which everybody now is familiar with revenue share models, right? That is the Sues of the world. They're growing at over 10,000 users a day. Uber, that's a great revenue share model. They're sharing up to 80% of their revenues back out to their drivers. And then you see all the other companies getting involved in revenue share now too, whether it's, Grasshopper, Dollar Shave Club, Ebates. I mean, it's super exciting for people to be able to be rewarded for helping build a company's user base. So we came up with the idea to be the first company in crowdfunding, first company out of 1,200 around the world, first platform to revenue share up to 80% of our revenues back out to our user base for helping us build this massive platform. And just waiving all the nonsense on the back end, with a lot of crowdfunding companies, not that they're bad, but a lot of them run on a freemium model, but then they have to make the money somehow. So they maybe double the fees if you don't hit your goal, or maybe there's time limits, and there's all these different restrictions that come along with that. And, it dawned on us that, wow, we could create almost like a LinkedIn premium model, right? Of all these people spending over $100 a month on LinkedIn Premium for more connectivity and visibility and access. And so we know there's this appetite for people all around the world to be part of these networks and, be talking about what they're passionate about, what they're interested in. by the millions without revenue share. So we knew that was great. But when you put the revenue share on top of that, and then we actually help people fund their passions based on our revenues, that's huge. In essence, Smashfund is the first social crowdfunding network. That's what we are. We are the largest backer to our users. So we take our entire marketing budget and we push it back out to our user base. And and the money's there. I mean, if you look at Facebook right now, they're over 300 billion market cap. So it's really neat to be the first company within the crowdfunding space that comes alongside our users, helps them fund based on their connectivity, right? So, you have all your personal connections like you would see on LinkedIn maybe, and then you have all your viral connections. Those are all the people you have usually no idea where they came from and how they showed up, but that is part of our revenue share. So we track all that by people's invite codes, and we kind of know where it all came from, and our algorithm does some really cool math and pushes out that revenue share. So that's kind of the long answer to how did we come up with this idea. So we were looking at disruptive models, and Uber, obviously disruptive in transportation, right? Groupon, that was a disruptive model replacing what coupons used to be. And so we think we're absolutely disruptive in the crowdfunding space, and we love it. We absolutely love it because we think there's just this great appetite for millions of people around the world to be able to come onto a platform, talk about what they're passionate about, stay anchored in. They have a profile for life here to fund anything they want and keep that network in place, keep those backers in place for life. And so we're excited about it. Definitely fun.
What's interesting, Rob, and that was a great answer. So what I'm seeing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you look at our culture today, we are already building networks. We're in a behavior where Facebook is just something that it's like if you talk to somebody that doesn't have a Facebook, it's like, what? Give it the times, right? So we are already functioning in a mindset of creating networks. And so now explain to everybody here, crowdfunding, yes, we are a crowdfunding company, but now you're talking about a network as well. So are there two ways you can make money in this model?
Well, there's a couple things, right? So in crowdfunding, you have what are called backers. And those are people that aren't necessarily on the network, right? Those are people that maybe look at your profile, and if you've activated maybe your contribute button, they could go and they could back you, no strings attached. We're on the donation side for starters, and so they could back you. If you look at GoFundMe, I think they're running over 100 million a month on donations right now. So that's one part of it, is your backers. The second part of it is, how do we come alongside and revenue share with our users? And then that's where all of our revenues come in. We push out up to 80% of our revenues based on the subscriptions every single month back out to our users based on their connectivity, up to 16,000 connections. So it becomes super, super fun and super fast to where somebody that might not be able to get a bunch of traction on whatever they're passionate about. And you see that right now. You see it on different crowdfunding sites that the creator of that profile might be passionate about it. But other people are like, I don't know if I care about it. But to that person, it's important. They do want to fund that, whatever it is. And so we want to help them with that. And it's having this built-in network. If people take their invite code and they're shooting it out to everybody they know, and they're building this profile, maybe like a LinkedIn Premium, for example, we track that. We track that connectivity from what they started. We track the connectivity from others and all these other networks being built around them that are overlapping. And we just track out these subscription bases. So we have this just super cool algorithm. If you were to Google social graph and look at images, that's kind of what ours looks like. That's how we track it all. So it's funny because, people have ideas, but they also have a lot of connectivity between all their social platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's what we do. We're doing it all the time. We're connected to more people than we've ever been connected to before. But actually being able to monetize that and get funded for it, it's absolutely awesome. But even before the revenue share comes in, we believe we've already beat everybody else out, because with our subscription base, with our monthly subscription fee, we waive all the other things that the other companies don't. So those time limits and goal requirements and fees on the back end, or double fees if you don't hit your goal, just all those things. We keep the backers in place for you, your network in place. So if we didn't even share a penny on the revenue share, we still beat everybody out. Especially, we're even looking at equity-based in the future. That's going to be a really fun space, is that equity-based crowdfunding. But for now, we believe we already have the competitive advantage. But then when you throw in up to 80% of revenue shared for people building the platform, it's just awesome. But you have to remember that this isn't just U.S. and Canada like we're starting in right now, but eventually around the world. People will be learning who each other is around the world and doing business together. And, our goal obviously is to try to push into as many English-speaking countries and territories at first, and then start to look at all the different, segments in the future. So it's just it's lights out. It's really, really fun to be in the social technology space. So probably another long answer to a short question, but I think that's
all right.
Does the job.
So you mentioned international. So could you expound on what the vision is for, first off, we're just getting started now. So as you see it now, and as we think international, what are your thoughts with the future?
Well, we have requests from all over the world every single day to open up these different countries. We're really looking heavily at Australia already, obviously, India, English speaking. It's really kind of lights out. It's how fast can we build infrastructure? That's really what it comes down to. The great thing is the infrastructure we build isn't too daunting, right? It really comes down to support, compliance, legal, brand. It's really building those assets from within the company. But you have to remember, these billion-dollar companies right now, a lot of the private ones called a unicorn, is built on very few employees because they're so technology-based. And so we're the same. So I think we're going to be able to expand pretty quickly. But for this year, I'm not saying only this year will be in the U.S. and Canada, but our main focus this year is just to explode the markets in the U.S. and Canada, build infrastructure, and then really start to hit the ground running in all these different territories. Because one thing we know for sure is, unlike a different service or a different product, we know that every person on the planet has some sort of dream they want to fund. And I believe we have the solution to that, just as being the biggest backer, right, to all these users on the platform. So I hope that answers that question.
Absolutely. That's great, Rob. Which leads me to the next question, and you're talking about revenue share. So why don't you just tell everybody here, how does this revenue share work? How does the funds flow? How would you talk about that?
Yeah, so on our website, we have a short little document that talks about revenue share. It gives some numbers on there that are kind of cool. But in essence, everybody has a profile in this social graph. And so the super cool thing about right now is the social graph is very small. So every social network starts with that, right? You start with just a handful of people. It starts off really small, but then if you start to look at the social graph over time, like some of the big social networks, it's massive. So right now, it's small, even though it's growing pretty heavily every 5 minutes at this point. But everybody's super tight right now. They're super tight. All their profiles are pretty tight next to each other, and networks are starting to overlap. There's I'll talk about this maybe more in a couple minutes, but there really is no time like the present. But what we do is we take somebody's profile And we have an algorithm that starts to search all around that profile for connectivity, the people that you had personally invited to the platform and who they invited and so on and so forth. But then also the different networks around you that everybody is 100% unassociated with. Just like in the social network, we've all seen all these people, you have no idea where they came from, but there they are. So our algorithm is always picking up everybody around your circle and looking for active subscriptions. And it's searching out infinitely. It's just looking for active subscriptions. And what it's doing, it's always knowing that as the company, we're always trying to reserve, the 20%, and then it's trying to split the rest between everybody on the revenue share side, right? And so it's really fun to watch. It's fun to get all the emails in and the social in on, hey, you know what, this is so awesome. I'm watching my network grow and so on and so forth. And that's because everybody's network just has a circle that continues to grow and expand and touch other networks. And obviously the more somebody invites, the more people user invites using their invite code, naturally, the faster their network gets traction, and also the more those connections that you're adding hit other connections and start to pick up things like overlap and different networks around you. And so just like any social network you're with right now, the name of the game is, oh my gosh, I want to add as many people, many followers as I possibly can. How many followers can I have on Instagram and Facebook? And same thing here, except the cool thing is we revenue share all the marketing dollars out of that. So in a nutshell, that's how it works. Just a super cool structured social graph that just tracks. It just continues to track people, and eventually this will be all around the world.
All right. Awesome, Rob. So now I'm going to ask the question, what is the subscription fee for Smashfund? And once you subscribe to the platform, then how do you get paid, or what are the dollars that we can expect as your network becomes viral and as it grows like you've talked about?
Yeah. So first of all, on the subscription side, we're starting off the U.S. and Canada at $149. So in the next couple of months, that's what to expect, $149. And then that's what waives all the crazy stuff that usually exists in crowdfunding. So that's the subscription. We believe we're a little bit lower than some of the competitors on that side. And so this is really for maybe the LinkedIn premium person, people that understand the subscription-based models. As far as just what all the different benefits that come along and the revenue share, they could find all that. It's always updated on our website. So down at the bottom, there's a little tab that says revenue share. I think there's probably a tab on how it works. And so people could go through and kind of look at that document. And it's pretty darn simple, though. It's no moving parts. It's kind of always the motto for the company is no moving parts, keeping it Instagram simple. How can we always keep this Instagram simple in this entire model? And so we'll always try to update things, on that visual and on the document, and continue to explain things better and better. Obviously, even video production. I mean, we're super excited about different firms that produce awesome explainer videos. And so we have a lot of cool things in the works that will come to fruition in the near future.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to that, Rob, and that's going to make it so easy to let people see the visuals when they see the video content that's coming and so on. So now, as I'm talking to people, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, and as I'm hearing some of the leaders sharing this concept with others, one of the big responses that we're getting is, what do you say to the people that say, but it just seems too good to be true? Are you kidding? I mean, if I build a social network, they're going to pay me? Mm-hmm. So how could you answer to that question where people respond to that in that way?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because that means that person has never experienced this before. So in the social space, you have what are called influencers. And so there are so many people that are great at building contacts through social networks, maybe through Instagram. I mean, we have somebody that's a user on the platform that has 7 million followers between his different Instagram accounts. He's considered an influencer. So he's able to market different products, through those different accounts, and be able to influence those buying habits. So a lot of people, it's actually not unusual for people within the social space, to be able to do it. I don't have that skill set. I wish I could, make a living on social like some of these people can, but it's not my skill set. It just isn't. But a lot of other people are great. So there are so many things that people thought, God, it's too good to be true. We always see that, right? And then a couple of years later, they're kicking themselves like, oh my gosh, it wasn't too good to be true. It's real. I mean, you look back at Google when they started, that was too good to be true, right? You could just look up anything online, find out where anything is accurate, any information you want within seconds. I love it. Facebook, oh yeah. Now you could all of a sudden communicate to anybody you want to now around the world. Now the entire world is connected. That was too good to be true. Uber, that was too good to be true, right? You just download an app, really, and you say you need a ride and somebody comes and picks you up in 4 minutes. That was too good to be true. Groupon, yeah, that was too good to be true, right? It might be too good to be true because I'll tell you what, everybody in my family they always say they're saving money, but they spend more money on Groupon and Living Social. I think it's costing me money for all these deals, if you will. But yeah, just being able to go to a site and get deals and half off on everything all the time. I mean, that's awesome. So, what I have to say about that, besides the fact that awesome things are too good to be true, the fact of the matter is the money's there and it's always been there. If you look at Google's valuation, if you look at Facebook, the money's there, and that's what I love, and we get to share it. So, I hope that makes sense.
What I love, Rob, it's almost like when you explained at the beginning of this call how it all came to light in your own mind when you were reading that article from Fortune, but it's almost like you've invented light in the crowdfunding space because, like you said, we will be that first crowdfunding company to revenue share for simply building a network, which is what everybody's already doing, right?
Yeah, everybody's already doing it. They're already doing it. And it was Forbes, a Forbes article. I mean, it's but now it's funny, when we started working on this project, nobody knew what crowdfunding was. We were shocked because I had been kind of watching it for a while, but now we're super excited. I mean, the crowdfunding space has tripled since we started this project over a year ago. And so, but it takes a lot of infrastructure, right? You have to build out all the technology. You have to make sure you own it. I mean, there's all kinds of great things that happen in the process. But what I'm super excited about is just the fact that everybody's part of it early, and they get their own chance to be part of this social graph when it's still tight and small. But it does change more and more every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, people are becoming a little bit more segmented within the social graph, right? To where eventually they'll be spread out all over the world. What I love right now is, the timing of this. It's so great for everybody to be part of something early. Nobody's heard about it yet. The next 60 days or so is just a fun time for people to be able to get their invite code and see what happens before we pull the trigger and bring all the profiles to life and the crowdfunding, module to life. I mean, it's just such a fun ride to be part of something fresh and new and really, just kind of mainstream, and everybody gets to be a part of it. There's always so many things that we see all the time where the average person can't play a part. They read about these things, but they can't play a part. But they can now. They can now.
Okay, so Rob, let me say this. So there's a lot of people listening to this call, and they miss their house payment. Maybe they're not making their car payment. Kids need to go to school. They need supplies, or they need clothes. I mean, people out there are hurting that need income now. So, for that guy that's listening to this call, it says, listen, I needed $1,000 yesterday to meet the bills that I'm not being able to meet. So what do you say now to, as people are listening here, how could they get this going quickly? Is there a type of person or personality? Is there, maybe that's a silly question, but who could we target to really help these people get off the ground fast and really get their income back where it needs to be so they can meet their bills or meet their projects to get their funded. Yeah. How would you respond to that?
Well, first of all, let's make sure they're not in that position in 6 months, right? And that's kind of where we come in. The great thing is we have the budget for that, right? And it's all about building the user base. And so I'm very, very confident that person could change that situation very, very quickly. And that doesn't happen often anymore. So that's super exciting. Not exciting that person might be in that situation, but exciting that now they could be in the world of crowdfunding, right? And eventually we'll add all these different services through crowdfunding as well, not just on the donation side. But what that person needs to realize is that we are the biggest backer, and we are the biggest backer, and we have the revenues for that. So their outlook could change very, very quickly. But mainly, we just really need people to focus on the now. The now is absolutely critical, and kind of, like I got a report a couple hours ago from the company about what you've done, and so I really want everybody to try to achieve the same thing as fast as they can. It's critical that everybody gets an invite code right now, and that they stay tight to the social graph and the beginning here, and shoot that invite code out to the entire world. And so I think the person, it's a hard question for me to ask, like, who's this for? I mean, I don't know who it's not for, to be honest, but I would say that typically it might be the entrepreneur first of all, like the LinkedIn premium user, maybe kind of the person that has aspirations. I mean, you look at the people on Instagram, for example, that's a pretty good user base right there. And so I think it's everybody in my opinion, but I would say anybody that has a passion they want to fund. I don't care if it's the Red Cross, it's their own personal need, career change, starting their own business. We really thought this would be geared mostly toward the entrepreneur at first, but now we're seeing everybody. And it's funny because we kind of thought that, like, gosh, out of the billions of people on this planet, who would not have a Smashfund profile for the rest of their lives? I couldn't figure that out for the life of me. I mean, it's sure in the heck cheaper than my CrossFit membership. I mean, it's great. And then you waive all the nonsense on the back end. So I personally think it's for everybody. Lauren, I've watched you take hold of this. I mean, you have a lot of people on your heels actually, but you're a great influencer, and I think at this point you have over 70 invites and over 2,000 connections, and that's less than 48 hours. And so I would really encourage everybody to do the exact same thing, just as fast as you would build out any other social network profile. That's what this is all about. As fast as you would build out LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. My 17-year-old, he's a crazy man when it comes to building out his Instagram profiles. I mean, it's just nuts. I don't even know where all these people come from. All these followers, he has hundreds of them a day. It's crazy. But that's how everybody should treat this, because this will, within a short period of time, be one of the largest social networks in the world by far.
I definitely believe that, Rob. And it's fun. I think a general conversation that we probably all had at some point in time in family gatherings or when you're talking to your buddies and your friends is you're talking about certain things that have happened out there, and we've all said, oh, why didn't I think of that? Why wasn't I the one to think of that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is that thing. I think this is that company where you can go, I can be a part of this. It's that simple. I just take my invite code and pass it out and enjoy the connections of a social media website that literally pays us to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the day and age of creating great technology on Costco folding tables. I mean, I love it when you hear about when Facebook acquired Instagram, right? When they walked in and they're working on Costco folding tables, less than 15 people. I mean, it's awesome. And when you run a company like that, gosh, you just have so much revenue share you could push back out. I mean, it's just an absolute blast. So, Lauren, I just want to, first of all, thank you for having me on the call. Congratulations to everybody being part of this and getting their invite code. And it's just a lot of fun. I think we can't even imagine all the stories and the relationships that are going to come out of this in the future. But we're excited to be pioneers, and we're excited to be disruptive in the crowdfunding space. So,
well, thanks, Rob. I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your crazy busy schedule as we're in this launch. And if you're listening to this call, please just get back to the person who has you listening to this and get that invite code and jump in and let's get this thing rocking, because we will be disruptive, like Rob has said. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Rob.